What's up, Fiderinos? Welcome back to the Game Addicts podcast, the show where we talk about the modern and retro video games that we play and collect. I am your player one, Brando, and joining me here today is this podcast is Player 2 Mike, and we are doing something different. We're doing this because my dumbass forgot to pack the Zoom yesterday. Otherwise, we would be doing this as normal, but it offered us a unique ability or a unique opportunity to test something new out for our new setup. If there's ever a chance or a opportunity where we can't be together, or if there's someone in a foreign land or a friend who can't make it, we could try and do something like this, where we call them in, and we have he has a line, I have a line, my mic is it's getting picked up. It's funny because I in order to do this, I have to use the mic on the laptop for him, the mic on here for me, going into this, and then he's coming through desktop audio. I really hope no one messages me. I think I was able to turn those off. Yesterday when I was trying to really get this stuff figured out, there was a group message with some of us at work, and it was going haywire. I was getting so upset and like frustrated because I was already mad anyway. I was really upset last night at myself, and then because nothing could work. Nothing would work. Apparently, when you have Windows 10, everything is just much more complicated. So,
well, that's okay because I couldn't get Hangout to work on Windows 7, to where it would not accept. It was like, please accept this on your device, and I'm like, okay.
That's funny because I've actually used Hangouts. I've actually used Hangouts on that laptop that you're using.
But it is under Game Addicts Podcast.
Is it?
That's the one that brought it up. So when I switched over to mine, it said, oh, nope, not available on this device.
Weird, because I used it in the past trying to capture or live stream another podcast through that to see how well it worked, and it didn't really work all that well. Probably due to, even though it's online technically, I mean, my system probably wasn't good enough for it, but it is what it is. Guys, today we're talking all about Spider-Man. We're going to be hitting spoilerific stuff. By the title of this thing, Spider-Man's Spectacular Spoilercast, we're going to be talking about our favorite moments of the game, our favorite Easter eggs, our favorite everything. I mean, we're going to be talking as much as we can about this, that we've hopefully there might be a few things we haven't talked about already. That's the only thing that I really don't like sometimes about doing this podcast with you now that you're back online. Is that you and me talk about it, and then we come here and we just sort of retread what we've already talked about. But guys, if you can see on the screen, there's this little spider image down here, right? This one right here, I moved it. So for the entirety of this video, this image is going to be here. When it's on my side of the screen, we haven't started talking spoilers yet. We're going to talk about some other new stuff. Maybe we'll start Spider-Man off. I plan to go on in full bore with spoilers. But if you're skipping around, not really too sure where to hit stuff at, when this spider is over here on Mike's side of the screen, right there, that is spoiler territory. When it's over there, we are talking spoilers. So if you don't want to hear that, then go back or leave or come back after you beat the game. Now there's going to be another screen that's going to have trailer stuff. We're going to be watching some trailers. Going to be showing you guys some footage of some stuff. I took some footage of Spider-Man and it's just me swinging around. Something for you guys to watch while we're talking. The same story goes. If the spider's over here, we're talking spoilers. I don't want you guys to get spoilered. If you don't want to. If you want to hear some of the news, we're going to tell you. We're going to give you a straight up warning. I'm giving you guys a visual aid if you're watching on YouTube or anything like that. If you're listening via the podcast services, we're going to let you know. Don't worry, guys. You're not going to have to close your eyes and imagine some spider. We're going to let you know. Mike, do you have any? I don't have any pickups. I have 0 pickups. I haven't bought anything in a good while. You know what? I actually never mentioned here on the podcast. I bought Resident Evil 7.
Oh yeah.
I bought it right. I think the week before Spider-Man, or like I don't remember. It was like I bought it, and it was like I bought it like used at Walmart.
Huh.
Well, I mean, Walmart sells used games, and I'm like, I bought a few from there before, but I saw it, and it was a decent price. I'm like, I need to get it. So picked it up. Haven't played it yet. Still working my way through Spider-Man, trying to finish off. I want 100% it now. Now that I'm playing it and I've gotten like the 89% or 90% wherever I last finished, I'm like, I might as well just finish the damn thing.
So I'm at like 80 something, and I was playing it, and I was going through some of the quests, and then I had that, I don't want to play this anymore. So I hopped on Diablo and played through it because it's brainless, mindless carnage.
I've been having some fun just trying out, now that I'm not going through the story and trying to really beat stuff, trying to beat people up and try some different combos, try some different things. Let's go over here and not really be too worried about like any consequences or have to start over or anything.
Right.
But we got a little bit of news this week. We're going to start it off with some somber news. Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced that the manufacturer of its handheld, the PlayStation Vita console, will end in Japan in 2019.
Oh, we knew it was coming.
Yes, I mean, they announced either this year or last year that they're not producing any more physical games for it. And now it seems that they're going to end production sometime next year, probably towards the end of their fiscal year. And they currently do not have any plans for a new handheld device. So they're going to manufacture it until 2019. So, from there, shipping will end. So if you are still wanting to grab a Vita or have any aspirations to get a new one, you want to strike while the iron's hot. Unfortunately, the Vita is going to go down as a complete and utter failure in the annals of gaming history.
I think it's a good console. It just sucks that it was underutilized.
Same.
That's the problem.
I agree. I totally agree. And part of it is just, you had good examples of how good games could be. Like the Killzone first-person shooter on there is like, whoa, this is a really good first-person shooter on the go. And then you had that Call of Duty Black Ops crap, which was shoddy.
Yeah.
And that is, putting it nicely. That game was not a good example of what a first-person shooter is and could be at all. So, I mean, I just kind of feel like developers didn't try. Some of them did. Some of them really did. And there are some really good gems on that console if you want to sit back. And, of course, if you have access, to your PlayStation Network account, and if you've already had downloaded or want to download a bunch of old PlayStation 1 games or even some PSP games that are some really good games, you can get those on the store. It's just a shame.
What the biggest thing that I think that hurt the Vita was the fact that you had to use their proprietary memory.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's just so expensive. I mean, I don't want to pay $100 for 64 gigs of space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now on my 8, I'm maxed out. Like I have the Elite games to put my PS1 classics on there. So,
I think it may have been 100 for even less than 64 gigs. Like I think
so too.
I think it may have been 100 for 32.
Yeah, it's so. Why? Why would you do so much?
I know that when we got our Vita way back in the day, around the time that we helped Jay move, remember that? I brought it.
Yeah.
And showed you
Yeah.
She picked up the memory card and it was 16 gig, and it was used. I mean, just like the Vita was, and it was still crazy expensive.
Yeah, it's just insane.
Yeah.
Sony, you dropped the ball on that one.
But they might be picking it back up here, or at least starting to dribble. So PlayStation Now will let you download PS4 and PS2 games to play offline, very similar to Xbox Game Pass.
Right.
So we knew that was coming, but it is limited to certain PS4 games. Now, I don't think it's going to be all of them. It's going to be most. And then the PS2 games that are on there, you can download. Currently, no PS3 game support for download. That is a negative. But I know why. And that is because currently within the architecture of the PS4, you can already play PS4 games, and you can already play, they have a PS2 something in there to run PS2 games, because they already have, handfuls of PS2 games on there with trophy support and all that stuff, right? So that's already in there. They don't currently have a method of emulating PS3 that cell processor architecture in the PS4. I don't know if they can do it, or if they're like, man, this is our old crap that we tried to be really cool and unique with, if that was just too much. And now, like, this one can't do it. Maybe one day, maybe on the PS5 we can. It'll have enough horsepower to sit there and go, I can emulate PS3 games even though it's shitty, but I can emulate it. Maybe that's hopefully maybe that's coming, because I think that is what would set their service really to be on par with Xbox Game Pass, to be able to download and play PS2, 3, and 4 titles, in one place. The Xbox Game Pass does that with zero issue on Xbox Original, 360, and Xbox One titles. In fact, that's how you use the service, is that you just download them. Sony does have another little ace up their sleeve, though, that they just announced.
Little gem.
So, I'm going to switch this over to our little trailer mode here. And I'm going to see if I can't. I got to remember which one it was.
2.
It was 2. All right, we're going to fade in. Yes, it was 2. Way to go. Thank you, Mike. So,
on it.
PS1 Classic, PlayStation Classic Edition, coming at us December 3rd, I want to say. And, yeah, dude. All right, so, of course, they're following in the footsteps of Nintendo and even Atari with their flashback systems, right?
Right.
And we are getting a PlayStation Classic. Hold on 1 second. Wife's running the vacuum. I couldn't tell if, like, this was playing, because sometimes the videos play through my speaker on the Zoom, and I have my headphones on, and all I can hear is you, and I'm like, I hear something. Anyway, so this is coming out at the end of the year, right around the time of PSX. $100 and 20 games included. Only 5 announced. That's interesting, because usually, like with the Nintendo one, they're like, "Here's all our games," but there's only 5 of them: Final Fantasy VII, Tekken 3, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, and Wild Arms. So, interesting lineup that they've already sort of included. Notice that it's the original controller, not the dual stick analog. It kind of maybe will hint as to what kind of games are going to be on here. Obviously, no Ape Escape that used analog sticks. So I think they may be trying to stay away from some of the early bad 3D games that came out, because, I mean, they were cool back then, but, I mean, they don't age well. So releasing this controller kind of tells me that we're going to get games that are going to be a little bit easier to control. So...
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of have. I suspect they know what they're going to put on there. At least their own proprietary, like their franchises that Sony owns. So,
Well,
we'll talk about that later.
I think next week we're gonna have a whole segment dedicated to try and select 15 other games to help fill this out. If we don't know more by then, we may know more by then. But I mean, it's interesting because you already have FF7, and there were like 4 different Final Fantasies other than the ports. So it's like, man, do you put another one or no? Do you stay away from that? Do you stay away from FF since you already have, arguably the most popular one on there? So,
but you can't leave out your own.
Well, there's the whole Dragoon or Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
But
those 2 are going to be on there. There's no way they're not going.
How can you have MG or this not have MGS on it? OG
That's
MGS. True. What about OG Resident Evil or Resident Evil 2? What about Tomb Raider? What about Silent Hill?
See, these are games that I think that they're working very diligently to say, hey, we really want to put these on here as the OG, but they've got to get permission.
Symphony of the Night, Castlevania.
Yeah.
Come on.
A big one, too.
So, I mean,
they've already got Square to sign off on 7. So I'm assuming that Square has signed off on 8 and 9, if they want it.
I would say to put all 3 of those on there to take away 3 of the 20, I wouldn't do it. Honestly, I would just keep it at 7.
I wouldn't either.
I would just keep it at 7, even though, a large part of me definitely would love to see 9, And I also have a soft spot for 8, even though it's not the most popular. I like 8, and I can actually defend it, but I can also tell you it's not the greatest out of the 3 or even Tactics. It's definitely in last place on that for the new Final Fantasies that were on that console. It's in dead last.
Oh yeah.
So there's no argument to be made for even putting that on there. But 9, there are definitely arguments. But obviously, what is the most popular one? It's 7. It was the one that really, when you're talking about the nostalgia of PlayStation, PS1, FF7 is up there.
The thing is you can name off 5 games right off the top of your head that you will always associate with PS1. And that's just plain and simple. You think of PS1, you think of Final Fantasy VII, Resident Evil, Gran Turismo. I'm trying to think of one that's a little bit not as... you kind of have to go with... I lost my place.
Crash.
Crash, yeah, that was Crash and what was the other big one that I was thinking of?
Spyro.
I wouldn't say that was huge.
Spyro was big, dude.
It was big, but not...
you couldn't play it, but a lot of other people could.
No, I could not play it.
But again, MGS,
Soul
Castlevania, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, Tomb Raider, many. Twisted Metal too.
There's another one that has. Twisted Metal almost has to be on there.
Jet Moto.
Yeah.
That game is hard. That game is hard now.
I know.
Back in the day, I played the crap out of it. Now I can't play it worth a shit.
I know. I played it on mine.
Oh, man.
It's hard.
Now, obviously, there's a big argument. Not even argument. No, there is no argument. There are a segment of people who voice the same thing when the other classics were announced, the SNES and NES and all that stuff. They were saying, well, we can just emulate these now. Why are we doing this? Well, there's a difference. This isn't for you. This product, this PlayStation Classic, with these games built on it, is not for the people who already have stuff set up or know how to set stuff up or to have a big emulation machine or a RetroPie. This isn't for you. This is for people who aren't into that, who are like, I just want to hook it up and play on my TV. This is for the casual audience. Also, It's also for the collector audience, for the nostalgia audience. I love the packaging of this thing. The box looks like the original 1995 box. The manual looks like the old school PlayStation manuals.
Awesome.
You know, they're going to a T here. The only thing that this thing doesn't have is a power support, which is like, they tell you what you need, and it'll work with any USB power support up to like 5 volts or something like that. But what you're going to get some mom or dad who's going to buy this for their kid for Christmas, not understand that it doesn't come with a power support, even though it says doesn't come with a power support right in the corner. And then they're going to run to the Dollar Tree and buy a USB power thing. It's going to not have enough to work it. It's going to break it. It's going to brick it.
Yep.
Now, again, NES Classic, SNES Classic, you power it via USB. So what might you be able to do?
Use the same power supply as that.
Well, I was going somewhere else. You may be able to hack this bitch.
Ooh.
And put more PS1 titles if it uses the same thing. It may not, because the PS1 ISOs, they may have them put on here differently to where they're not that type. Maybe this uses the PS1 Classic feature like you had on the PS3. Now, off air, you said, you know, you can play PS1 games on your PS3, and if you have the capability to go get one, that is definitely the way to go, because you can physically play. You can go out into any secondhand store and go to the PS1 rack. Most of them are not expensive. You're gonna get Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut. I just saw was $20. It's gone up to $20.
Wow.
But still, that's $20. You're gonna pay a lot less for a lot of other games, and it hooks up to your TV with HDMI. It is very accessible. It's a great way to play PS1 games. That's how I'm playing Metal Gear Solid when I'm streaming here on Twitch. But I mean, some people don't have a PS3. Some people don't want to get a PS3 and then own all that. They want plug and play.
Right.
You know?
Right.
This has 20 games on it. I guarantee you there are already people who said FF7, HDMI, hooked up to my TV, sold.
Yeah, I guarantee there are a lot.
There are people who've already done that. And then, of course, you throw in an awesome game like Tekken 3. You throw in an awesome game like Wild Arms. I mean, this is awesome because I'm excited for Wild Arms to get experienced by people who maybe it's gonna get thrown in there and people might fire it up, and then you're gonna get people who love it. And
yep.
I'm definitely excited for that. Now, there is a news story that I did find that I'm going to try and search for really quick because I didn't save it.
Shame on you.
You know what? Yes, shame on me big time, because this is something that I definitely wanted to talk to you about, because you and I, N64 Classic release date teased by new filing.
Yeah.
We're looking at that one here in a second.
Yeah. I mean, they're stupid not to.
Well, and you knew definitely that, I mean, you knew that it was coming, but especially with the announcement of the PlayStation one.
They're going to push it up.
All right, so here's the thing. On the last episode, was it that one that we talked about Grandia 1 and 2 coming to the Switch?
I believe so,
The remasters, remakes, or whatever. So there's a new report out from Game Informer, and they have new details on what we can expect from each game. Apparently, there's a lot to look forward to, and there are a number of special features that go along with the main quest that will be offered. What's more, it doesn't appear that the Switch compilation will be offered in Japan.
What?
I know. It's currently being prepped for the U.S. and European market by the team at Gung Ho Interactive. First of all, the features for the original Grandia, which will also be making its way to the PC sometime in the next few months. It'll include enhanced details to the UI, sprites, and texture art, 2 to 4 times upscaling. Original cinematic videos receiving visual enhancements, widescreen support and customizable resolutions for PC, addition of MSAA, bloom, normal mapping, and blur effects, Steam cards and achievements, that's for your PC, Japanese audio and subtitles, English audio and subtitles, language support for English and Japanese, digitally converted game manual, and it utilizes the PS1 and Sega Saturn source code. Gamepad and keyboard support with remappable controls is likely for the PC version. The next, for Grandia 2, is also getting a digitally converted game manual utilizing the Grandia 2 Anniversary Edition source code, which is originally based on the Sega Dreamcast source code, which is the better version of the game.
Right.
It fixes PC audio, video audio desync and switch to X input, adds support to exit to title, and then of course Japanese subtitles are added for the Switch version. So they're not just going copy paste and putting it on there. They're putting some new stuff on there, and that's amazing. But what's awesome is that now the Switch is getting two great classic RPGs, becoming remastered for the system, coming off the heels of the success of Octopath Traveler, coming off the heels of a really well reviewed Valkyria Chronicles 4, which just came out from Sega. Which now that I've read the review for it, I'm like,
right?
No. I love the original game. It is like basically anime XCOM-ish. It's fun. It was a lot of fun. I wasn't expecting it at all. And then I started playing it and was like, this is really cool. I definitely wanted to bring that up to you, and I didn't save the article. But now we're going to talk about some Red Dead. Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out in like a month.
It's all you.
For the PS4 and Xbox One. It's not coming to PC yet. Hopefully in the future.
I've noticed that they're doing PC releases later than console releases now. So almost every game now. For
some. And I think for Rockstar, what it is that they want to, their main market is on the consoles, and they know that.
Right.
So they want to get that shit running, and then they don't want to do a piss poor port. Like Rockstar has done some piss poor ports. Trust me, it turned me away from PC gaming for life, bully. So, I'm still salty. Okay, I'm still salty. However, they don't want that to happen again. They don't want anything like that. They want to make sure it works and runs. Of course, GTA 5 did go, so I have a full, expectation that Red Dead will go as well. First of all, I don't, and I'm going off the cuff on this because I didn't actually have an article on this, but the game releases at the end of October, and Red Dead Redemption Online will not launch with this game. The beta launches in November after the main game comes out.
Oh, for the multiplayer?
For the multiplayer. They're doing a beta for it after the main game comes out.
That makes sense.
Now, if anybody remembers, GTA 5 Online, GTA Online, was released 1 month after GTA 5, and it was a train wreck. It's going great now. Made them over $1 billion, but when that thing launched, that thing was awful, and you couldn't get in. And when you got in, you better stay in because you might not be able to log back in.
Yeah, you're not getting back in.
But they learned a lot from that. And in their little statement, they said, look, we want people to enjoy the game that we have made, Red Dead Redemption 2. We want to let you go in, get a feel for the controls, get a feel for the map, get a feel for everything that we have to offer, because then Red Dead Redemption Online is going to be a separate title entirely. But you get access to it if you have Red Dead Redemption 2. And then we're going to do a beta for that. And you guys are going to help us shape this. It's going to come out, and it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be pretty rough. But, be that as it may, you guys are going to help us shape it. I also saw this little nugget of information. Rockstar has revealed that Red Dead Redemption 2 will allow you to play the entire game in first-person view.
Yes, I saw that as well. Just like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yep. And it applies to the entire game except for cutscenes, and will be available at launch.
It's really neat. That might turn me on a little bit more to the game because I don't mind third person, but first person is where it's at for me.
So, apparently the little dialogue system is a way for you to interact with almost any living creature in the world. And apparently, its most significant and varied use comes with how you applies to how you interact with other people. This is kind of like the system that came in from Bully, where you can like interact with somebody with either a up yours or a kind gesture, or even like some bullies you'd have to like pay them off to avoid getting beat up.
Right.
So how you do this is essentially it's a beefed up version where you press on the D-pad. With weapons holstered, you hold L2 and target an NPC, and a contextual menu of choices appear. Sometimes it's straightforward. If you don't fancy a showdown with a lawman, you can choose to defuse and hope your crimes are minor enough that they let you off. If that doesn't work, you can pick surrender, which sees you reaching for the sky. Then again, if you want to just let their guard down, you can press R2 and draw your gun while surrendering and get the drop on them. It's very intuitive. If you chase down a witness to your crimes, threaten will appear, where you can hopefully talk them out of reporting reporting your crimes. If they don't seem appropriately convinced, you can always hit beat. But honestly, I think I'd be spending most of my time on less practical pursuits. This is what this article says. When it comes to run-of-the-mill encounters, options tend to be more simple. Greet and antagonize will be your staples, but the conversational paths that they lead you down are amazingly natural and frequently hilarious. The brilliance at work here behind these are actual conversations with an NPC with multiple avenues where the discussion can go from a single starting point. Essentially, it seems to summon up sort of a script flowchart that doesn't throw out random lines in sequence, but creates convincing dialogue between your character and a chatty partner, no matter which options you choose. Take one conversation that this person had with a man walking down the streets, and this is from memory, so the words will not be exactly correct, but your character says, "Good morning." NPC says, "Good morning." Your character says, "Not enough people to show respect today, so thank you for that." Or not enough people show respect today, so thank you for that. NPC says, "Well, thank you too." And Arthur says, "Then again, you're not worth much respect, are you?" So he chose antagonize. NPC says, "What the hell did you say to me?" Arthur, diffuse. I'm just joking with you. So he did that whole thing,
cool. That's pretty neat. That'll add a lot more. It'll breathe a lot more life into the game, a lot more immersion. Should be awesome.
Yes, and it's not at a RPG type level or a Skyrim or a Witcher level where you have all these NPCs with these big long things. It's
right.
that Rockstar level where it's just like this line, that line, and then if you don't defuse it, it could lead to a fight, right? So, yeah, dude, I'm really excited for the game. I'm really amped up and pumped to get back into that world and find out what the hell happens that leads up to the first game. I want to know. So, and that's the downside of recording at my house.
Yeah, screaming child.
Yes, he's a three-nager.
Three-nager.
I'm hating 3 more and more each day.
Really?
Yes. So far, it is my least favorite age group right now. I love my kid. I hate his attitude.
I say this is where they start to see what they can get away with.
Absolutely. So we got a trailer here to watch.
Trailer.
Just got released today. I believe it was trailer 3, wasn't it? Yes.
Yes, Ari.
For Resident Evil 2, we have a story trailer that we're going to play for you guys. So you guys on audio, there's some audio here, there's some dialogue, but definitely go check us out on Twitch and on YouTube where this kind of stuff gets kind of, shown off. Please go do that. Please subscribe to our YouTube and help us get to 100. That way we can get our own URL. I'm really, really wanting that.
Please.
Yes, please. So
it makes things a lot more easier for us.
Yes. To link people to that would be so much easier. So I'm gonna bring this back over to our little trailer one over here, and I'm gonna start this up. Hopefully this one plays because I had to make sure that I muted all the other ones because I didn't want that stuff to play while we're just talking about the PlayStation. But nothing's playing, is it?
No.
Of course it isn't. Oh, there it is. All right.
What's your mom like?
She works at Umbrella.
So where's your dad?
He,
Sherry Birkin. Yeah, that thing's her
he's
dad.
gone.
Yeah.
So nobody knows what caused this?
There's a lot of theories, but all I know for sure is that this place is crawling with zombies.
Leon.
Get down! Come on! I'll be there!
I'm sure you beat me here.
By the way, rumor has it goes straight to your underground lab.
Lab?
Leon S. Kennedy.
You gotta be kidding me. Get off of me!
Get the hell out of here. Before it's too late.
Ada Wong.
What's going on here?
Sorry. That information's classified.
Seems to be evolving much faster than expected.
Nobody cares about that. They want to know about the G virus.
What exactly are you looking for?
More info on the people responsible for this mess.
What the?
I swear, you bastard, if you hurt her.
Identify yourself.
Stop! You'll never get the G-Virus! Sherry, come on!
Daddy, no! Claire, wake up!
After you.
Gee, thanks.
Oh, yeah.
God, it's going to be fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I am beyond hyped for that fucking game. Oh, man, yes.
I know. I'm so glad that I got it pre-ordered.
Yeah. I went ahead and pre-ordered mine, too, on Amazon before they ended that whole, 20% off deal or whatever it was.
Right.
So I got that. And Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts 3, which they just revealed the cover art for that just the other day, and I like it. It's very Kingdom Heartsy. That's a way to say, let's take all the anime style characters and FF style characters that aren't the FF characters and make them standing and make them looking off into the distance, and we'll throw in Goofy, Donald, and Mickey for good measure.
Yeah. Just if you didn't know, it was a Kingdom Hearts game here.
Yeah. I am super pumped for that game too, simply because I really dig the series, even though it's confusing as all get out. But it's been so long since I've played. I think I played the original one. Well, I got it on the PS3 remastered version when that came out, or somewhere around that time. Or you know what? Maybe I picked it up a little bit after it came out, and I bought it with something else. I know when Kingdom Hearts 2 Remaster came out, I got the little bundle that has like a little collector pin.
Yeah.
But I love 2. 2 is my favorite out of all the games, I guess, but out of the core series of the 1, 2, and 3, whatever, 2 is my favorite. It was very awesome. We're gonna have to try and sit down and play some of that together. That way I can get your reactions, because some stuff is really cool and other stuff you're gonna be scratching your head going, how does this even work in this? But that's what makes it fun, right? It's a fucking game, man. Games are meant to be enjoyed and to be fun. And speaking of games, so we got this little game called Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We got the Spider-Man game, and we were talking last week about about sales. And we have the results for the first 3 days, the opening weekend for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
3.3 million copies sold in the first 3 days of release, making it the fastest-selling first-party PlayStation game of all time.
Yeah. Woo.
USA Today reported that the sales milestone for Spider-Man, indicating assuming that all copies were sold at the standard $60. USA Today worked those numbers out, the 3.3 million copies, to sold out to be about $198 million in 3 days. Though the course collector's editions and maybe even the pro bundles. Okay, hold on. Not included with the collector's edition are the pro bundles that comes with a copy. So 1 million copies of Spider-Man were pre-ordered prior to release, which is another record for Sony. Sony says, our expectations are always set at the highest levels. Basically, they praised Insomniac for bringing Spider-Man back into gaming in a way that you want to experience it. It met and exceeded all expectations. I think the company and the campus and our fans are super proud of it. 3.3 million in 3 days.
That's awesome.
And it's only going to get bigger with the holidays coming. With all these, because that's a rated T game. Think about how many kids play rated T games that aren't T's, So they're going to be asking for it for Christmas or whatever. It's like, oh, that game was, I watched it on Twitch. That's the thing now is that kids can go onto YouTube or Twitch and watch these games play stuff and know what games they want to play and buy right off the bat.
Right.
Unlike with us, it was demo discs or magazine screens shots or whatever. That's or even some cases you would go to the store and your mom is like, "Hey man, you can get a game." So then you're looking at all these games, and then you got like the best that you can do is like looking on the back of the box sometimes.
He's beating on the door.
He's beating on.
To come in here. He was, and then he pops in, says hi, and then leaves.
What's up, dog meat?
Hey, dog meat. Hi, buddy. All right, bye.
Yep. Later on, dude.
He just wanted to see what I was doing. That's all he needed.
You're leaning way back.
Yeah.
No. You're fine. You're fine.
I'm sitting because I'm gonna probably get a dog on top of me here in a minute.
Absolutely.
Not from this side.
So we are actually going to start the Spider-Man spoiler talk. Are you ready for that?
I am ready.
Okay, moved it over there. So spoiler, guys. Spoiler starting in 3, 2, 1. Beep.
What the fuck's up with the symbiote?
Oh my God, the symbiote at the end.
It makes me. Oh my God. So after the announcement of the sales, and after seeing the end of the game and Insomniac going, that deserves to be told as a full game in an Insomniac way. Now with 3 million copies sold, we're getting it.
Yes.
That's what's happening. We're getting
my, yes,
and
we
I
are.
hope to God we get to play as Venom. God.
Okay, so guys, what we're talking about, of course, is the after credit scenes. There's like a mid credit roll and then a post credit roll. Post credit roll, Norman walks back into his little secret lair lab, and hidden right there. When you're in there, you break in there with Mary Jane, and you're trying to find all this stuff and blah blah, this and that. In there the whole time is Harry, who is not in Europe at all. He's in suspended cryo state or wherever he's in, with a symbiote attached to him. It's a fucking symbiote.
See, at first when I pulled it up, like he come in and he clicked it, and it shows the green. I thought, oh,
yeah,
okay. So he's revealing his suit, and then it shows Harry with the super soldier serum. And I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And it pops over real quick, and then pops back. I'm like, wait a minute, what was in the tank? Because there's Harry, but what else is in the tank? And then he puts his hand on there, and then the symbiote reacts to the hand. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely react. Okay, so when I beat the game, I had a blistering migraine. I was trying to relax. I know, migraine, supposed to go lay down in bed in complete darkness, no sound, no anything. I know, trust me. But I was like 2 missions away from beating Spider-Man, and I'm like, I gotta beat this game. I gotta know how it goes. So I beat the game with a migraine. And I'm going, oh my gosh! And then the ending was so freaking worth it.
Yes. So what I liked is that it forces you to watch maybe 3 minutes of the credits, and then it has a Marvel mid-credit cutscene.
Yeah.
That was cool. And then it had all the people, and it said skip. And I thought, okay, skip. I'm going to skip this real quick, and then I'm going to get up. So I skipped it, and I went to stand up. And there was the scene with Osborn. And I was like, oh, you're tricky. I like it. The whole game felt like a Marvel movie.
Now, see, I've heard it referred to as a movie, and yes, very much so. But also, think about it like the way that you play the story. It's very episodic, almost. It could almost be like a season of a TV show or like a Marvel show on Netflix. Which, by the way, October 19th, season 3 Daredevil on Netflix. Oh, I'm excited for that.
Do we have to watch Defenders? Please say no.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But the little preview image that came out was him kind of doing this with his with his back to it, and it's all red, and it said something about like not living in fear, which is like one of and then of course it has the cityscape in the background all in red, and very tiny in the background you can see Avenger Tower.
Yes.
I'm excited. And also hinted was at the return of Fisk.
Yes.
So okay, I'm gonna ask you straight out. Other than the post-credit scene with the symbiote that we've already talked about, what was your favorite moment of Spider-Man PS4?
I don't know. To be honest with you, the entire game was phenomenal. Like, I would have to say one of the saddest but best scenes was the death of Aunt May, because it's one of those things like, do you do this? You're killing off Aunt May. It's almost like killing off a main character of Spider-Man.
Very much so. She gets sick. A lot of people in town are sick with the devil's breath plague, pretty much. And you have the only bottle of serum. And it's going to take maybe a few hours, maybe a day, to produce enough to help cure everybody. But if you cure Aunt May right now, there won't be enough
to cure everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a
and she
fantastic
can go
twist.
and they laid that line in. She can go at any minute.
Yep. When he first leaves to go get it.
Yeah.
And he is all types of messed up when he takes on Doc Ock, which was an awesome way to do that game.
I love the slow burn. I'll just stop you real quick. I love the slow burn of Octavius.
Yes.
I love
it
the
was
fact
done right.
It was
done right.
Yeah, yes. I love the fact that he's there from the near beginning of the game as your friend and ally. And you help him, he helps you. You're friends, co-workers.
Yep.
You both aspire to dream for the same thing. There's almost like the twist where Mr. Negative really isn't the main villain. He is for a while,
right?
Until you capture him. And then the villainy changes. Then Mr. Negative almost gets relegated down to a secondary villain.
He does.
And then Octavius takes the center stage.
But they did give you that final boss fight with negative.
Yes. Yes.
And I like that because instead of they did, like Vulture and Electro, those two you fight them together,
Right.
and then
Rhino and Scorpion.
You do them together, so you're thinking, oh, I get to fight Doc Ock and Mr. Negative.
No, separate
because the negative fight is a good fight.
Well, and it's also tying up the narrative too, where you know, while you've already defeated him and caught him, now the narrative continues with him, where you get to see his backstory as a kid and the incident that created him and killed his parents, and then with Norman Osborn kind of being behind that as a failed experiment, and also Octavius, and that being the one thing that led to Octavius leaving Osborn or leaving Oscorp, which was hinted at earlier in the game.
Yes.
God damn, this was a great script. This was a great story. If this were a TV show, it would have fucking slayed.
Oh, yeah.
Hey. And that's my only negative thing that I can say about this game, is that not enough Spider-Man fans are going to get to experience the story unless they watch the gameplay and watch the game on YouTube or Twitch. Because this story is worthy of a movie or worthy of a TV show.
I'm gonna get him to stop eating the antler in here because I can hear it. So
yeah, it's a little loud, but
hey, come on, let's go, come on.
Yep. Bye, dog mate. Bye.
There we go. I just lost my little thingy, but that's okay. Anyways, continue.
I'm trying to remember where exactly I was.
You was at the part with the narrative of Doc Ock and how it's a slow burn, and if the people that are Spider-Man fans won't get to experience it unless they watch it on YouTube.
Yes. No, I'm very, very disappointed that the story won't be able to be enjoyed by the masses. Yes, millions of people are going to get to enjoy this. Yes. There's going to be so many more that don't. In fact, when you look at the numbers, even though you have $60, right? Okay, so you have $60 per game. Even like this game had a bigger opening weekend than Spider-Man: Homecoming. But I mean, granted, that's a much more larger, ticket price, I guess. $60 compared to at most maybe 12 or whatever, 12 or 15.
Yeah,
depending on markets, right? But dude, I absolutely loved the beats of the story. They were able to grasp a story on the size and scope that is a big, epic Spider-Man story, whether it's comic, movie, whatever. But then they were also able to dial it in. Not only the main thing is traversal,
right?
You've had Spider-Man swinging and all that stuff in other games before, but it feels so natural and smooth in this game.
It does.
You do unlock fast travel, at some point, but I never really wanted to do it unless I really wanted to get somewhere fast.
Right.
Just get stuff
done.
done.
The same way. I only used it on the main story whenever the main story started getting hot. I was like, yeah, I don't want to jack with this. Go.
Right.
I want to be there now.
That is so important. And another thing that's important also are the side missions, because it makes them feel like, yes, there's this big epic storyline with Times Square, viruses, and everything. Man, this is a big epic movie. But then there's that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stuff going on too.
Right.
The little stuff, the crimes,
going around
talking to people, taking selfies with people.
That's awesome.
It's that whole Spider-Man feel, and somehow Insomniac was able to grasp and capture that aspect as well to help really round out and complete this game. Because the combat, you could almost argue that the combat does take some hints from Arkham. but
Right.
but it's more dodge associative. It's more evasive. It's more quick, like Spider-Man is. Batman's a tank. He's a fucking ninja, but he's a tank. So Spider-Man's going to be in there beating up people, but then you've also got like trying to stay away from people, trying to not get hit is a big deal because as Spider-Man can take a beating, he's also not the biggest brute guy. So yes, he does get hit and he does fall down and he does get hurt, but everything in this game, the traversal, the side stuff, the combat, the story, the voice acting, the script, it felt like Spider-Man.
It felt like an original Spider-Man story. And that is what we've all wanted. Like, after Spider-Man 2, everybody's like, oh, man, that was the best Spider-Man I've ever played. You get to traverse, you get to do side crimes, you actually get to go around in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played any other ones after that. I played a couple, but not anything that hints and a head nod. But this takes that, perfects it, and then adds in this beautiful story of, and the ending. You kill Aunt May. You give him that sole purpose. With great power becomes great responsibility.
I like how they do it without
beautiful.
saying it. That's what I
Yes.
liked, because that is at its very core the whole Spider-Man character. Of course, having Uncle Ben bury it into his head, boom, 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 boom. And this game, it shows it without ever having to say those words.
Yeah.
You just understand it. You get it. And
I also like the way that May's like, take your mask off so I can see my nephew.
yes,
And he's like, how long have you known? A long time.
a while.
I didn't want you to worry.
Oh, I did.
I did. And it's
He
just
is-
like,
And she goes, but you've helped and saved so many people. You know, your Uncle Ben must be so proud of you. And then there's that whole, him sitting there and her dying and him being helpless. And then there's that scene of him, you can tell he wanted to do it. He wanted to put that little bottle on her IV, save her.
oh yeah, he pulls it out and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
can't do it. Because he knows everyone else will die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now, there's another little story beat that was probably... I asked you what your favorite moment in the game was. And my favorite moment, other than the Aunt May thing, was the whole award ceremony with Jefferson Davis.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Miles Morales' dad. And the terrorist explosion and the death of Miles' dad. And then, not only that, but both Miles and Peter being blown back and being hurt. Peter being unconscious, and then the game shifts and you control Miles.
That was... the whole game, it's so beautifully done. It's beautiful. I feel like it deserves a 9.5. Plain and simple.
This game is freaking awesome. As I said, I'm torn between a 9 and a 9.5. I don't know if, like, I want to play the story again so bad. I want to play it again right now, but I want to wait until they do New Game Plus, which is coming out. I don't know when, but it's coming out. They're going to be doing 3 DLCs that are a part of what's called the City That Never Sleeps. You can already buy that for $25. And all 3 DLCs are coming out, one in October, one in November, one in December. And the first one is called The Heist, and it involves Black Cat.
Yeah, because she's been prepping for this thing your entire game.
Yep. And then so you're gonna eventually get the mission of what she went back to steal her stuff for to get this big heist. It kind of seems like, oh, okay, she stole all this stuff to lead me on this chase to pull this one over on me, so that way she could go back into the police headquarters and steal back her stuff.
Right.
but really, she's probably was stealing it back. That way she could plan this bigger heist that Spider-Man's going to somehow be a part of to either stop her or to make sure she just doesn't do something stupid, or he's going to get wound up and involved somehow.
Right.
And I can't wait. And I can't wait to see what the other DLCs are as well. And because then the DLCs are also going to give you some other side stuff, some other side missions along with the main mission, as well as other outfits. And the outfits in this game are really cool because you could change your outfit, and that will change for the cutscenes. It'll change for the load screens. It's not just something extra for you to wear after you beat the game like the Arkham games. That's a suit for you to wear. And I really dig that. I like that little, like, I like the fact that they threw in the more modern MCU, the like all three of them, the homemade suit, the Stark suit, and the Iron Spider. I love the like the old knockback, the old retro outfits, the old 90s Scarlet Spider Ben Reilly outfit. I love the some of the other comic oriented outfits like the newer Secret Wars one, or even like some of these other special suits that were made, like the insulated suit, the punk rock suit from the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I mean, and then of course the comic suit is awesome.
It is. I got that just for the quips.
Yes. Yes.
Because he runs it around and says stuff to people. I was like, that's awesome.
Oh man. The one, I guess the other big spoiler thing that I want to talk about is the fact that they set up Miles Morales.
Yes.
To have spider powers. That was the
Spider Kid or Arachnid.
Kid Arachnid.
Kid Arachnid.
Because in the Ultimate Spider-Man, when he was first revealed, he was called Spider-Man, but in the Spider-Verse, I guess he's called Kid Arachnid.
Right.
So, and that's when Peter Parker's around, and it's because Pete's Spider-Man. He's always going to be Spider-Man. Now, when Ben Reilly in the '90s, when he took over the mantle, he didn't really call himself anything. Jameson in the Bugle called him the Scarlet Spider because he wore all red.
Right.
But the Miles Morales thing, of course, the spider gets on you when Mary Jane sneaks into that secret lab that we talk about of Norman Osborn, and she gets in there and she finds that he's trying to reverse engineer Spider-Man's powers with these whole like radioactive spiders. That's how Spider-Man got his powers. So it's like they're trying to figure it out, and one crawls on her, and I'm like, holy crap, she's gonna get bit. That's a different twist. I thought that's what was gonna happen at first.
I did too.
And then of course she ends up going to Feast, and that's when you get the whole storyline or whatever with Spider-Man and Aunt May being sick, and he's gonna end up going and getting the serum. Well, the spider leaves her and ends up, webbing down and ends up biting Miles. And I went, there it is. That was
Perfectly
really
set up.
Now see, the other, how I thought he was going to get spider powers is I thought that he was going to get hurt during that whole explosion, because when they were like, hey, wake up, Pete, wake up, and I thought he was going to wake up, and then Miles is going to be hurt and needed blood, and they had the same blood type. And then Pete's like, all right, hook me in or whatever. And MJ is going to be like, Pete, wait, no. And then he just kind of looks at her, and she kind of like, hey, and he's like, I got no choice. I got to save this kid.
Yep.
And then I thought that's how he was going to get spider powers, which would have been a cool idea. But I actually like the way they did it here too, where they did this big runaround and he got bit just the same way that Pete got bit. And then you don't hear anything else about it. And then you get to the ending after the Aunt May scene, and then the funeral. You get the scene with Pete and MJ, and then Pete reveals
getting back together,
and then you get Pete reveals that he's going to stay with Miles until his new place is ready. He doesn't have a job yet. MJ's like, you could just crash at my place, and that was awesome. That was
I never really wanted you to stop. Like I never wanted this to stop.
Right.
And that's awesome, but the scene with Miles in his new apartment when he's moving his boxes in.
Pete's moving in, Miles is helping him move in, And then
Miles is like, "Hey,
I
something weird. Something weird's happening to me, Pete." He's like, "Oh, it's
your
hormones,
body's changing." He's like,
And it's like, "No,
it's not that."
it." And he jumps on the ceiling.
He's like, "Look,
and
I just
"Weird?"
gotta show you.
Like, okay.
And well, no, I'm not gonna show you. That's what he says.
I was like, "Oh, cool."
He's like, "I just gotta show you." And he jumps up on the ceiling. He's like, "It's pretty weird, right?" And Pete just looks up at him, and then he jumps up too. He goes, "Not that weird."
Right.
And I love that. And then that's how and then the game goes to to the further credits for you to be able to skip. But then that sets up, like we said, a second game, and now you're gonna have and we already got kind of a hint of Spider-Man showing Miles how to fight with that scene when Miles gets kind of jumped by some muggers, and then the whole just this whole like really neat scene where he ends up saving him, and then he's like, "Okay, later." He goes, "Well, I mean, he's like, I what if I get attacked again?" He's like, "Well, I usually am try to be quicker if they're bigger than me." He goes, "But what if you're not around?" And then they end up kind of sparring. He ends up like, "All right, now square up," and then
I love that.
and then look for the opening, right? Now this time really hit me. Boom! He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." No, dude, you're good. You're good. I love that interaction, and then it's also, in the next game, I can't wait for there to be an interaction where he's like trying to teach him the more in-depth stuff.
I think it's cool that when he leaves, he goes, "I just hit Spider-Man."
Yeah, I just hit Spider-Man.
Like, oh man, I love it. It's the story was done so well that I'm really happy it's doing that good in sales, which means that we know we're getting another one. There's no way Sony is going to say no, because that guy, the head guy stated
from Insomniac, the creative director,
he said, "We want to do another one."
Yes.
Like straight, I want to do another one. And the fact that that's why they left it. Without the black suit, there's no black suit.
For a reason.
Because the black suit is a whole story. And that's what he said. He said, there's no black suit in there because that deserves an Insomniac told story. And when he said that, it makes me think they loved making this game. They love the outcome of this game, and they want to do another one, which is fantastic because it is a phenomenal game.
And the basis is already there.
Yep.
All you got to do now is make it better.
And there's, if you throw Venom in there, if you literally leave that game the same, maybe add in a couple new gadgets here and there.
Sure.
But
new suits.
Leave it the same. Yeah, obviously new suits. But leave it the same, but then allow you to play as Miles. Allow you to play as Venom. At the end of the game, there has to be a part where you play as Venom a little bit at least.
Well, and I said it would be neat if Venom was a villain.
Yep.
But then of course Norman is the bigger villain. So Otto was the main villain, I guess, the end villain of this game. But kind of switch it again where Venom's the villain until a certain point. And then it's Norman or Green Goblin. And then Harry's involved, and then you already had Spider-Man and Miles teaming up. I would love there to be some tag team moves that they can do with both of them fighting, kind of like how they experimented a little bit with Miles' dad fighting with them. Have them both be fighting, and then I would think it would be cool if you could switch in between the two of them in mid combat, kind of like the GTA 5 switching. Vroom,
right.
And then you go over, and then now you're Miles, or boom, and then you go over, then you're Pete. Then wait until the very end of the game, like the last part, and then you can team up with Venom to take down Norman. And the game ends kind of open-endedly, like as far as like the Venom Spider-Man thing goes. Things aren't finished. They're not friends. We'll meet another day. But then after you beat the game and you're free roaming, you can switch between Spidey, Miles, or Venom. And I think it would be cool if they added a DLC later on I would put it as the last one where you played a whole side story as Venom.
Yeah.
That would give you some story kind of thing with Venom after the main game.
I think it'd be cool to do that, but also at the end of it, or even in the game, somewhere in the game, it'd be cool to be like Venom sighting. And he has to go because there's parts in the comic where Venom would literally just show up and he'd get pissed off at, whoever, and this Venom would take over.
Mm-hmm.
And he would just start thrashing everything. And just where Pete's kind of swinging around, or him and Miles are talking and doing something that's like, there's a Venom sighting and blah, 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 blah. And you got to run there and get it. And if you don't, people die.
I think that'd be a cool little side thing, kind of like how you had crimes in this one.
Yeah.
Where you have Venom sightings and you got to go and you got to interact and you got to fight Venom and kind of chase him away.
Yep.
I think
And you got to stop him from doing whatever it is he's trying to destroy, because Venom feeds off your raw emotions. So let's say that they do give the Venom suit to Brock. At some point it goes to Brock.
Well, and see, that's where I would want it to go. So I would want, just like how this game was a good Peter Parker story with the whole Mr. Lee, Mr. Negative, Aunt May, Otto Octavius. Again, think about that. Each one of these stories that blended in together, they were both a Peter Parker story and a Spider-Man story. And you got to do the same thing again. So if you're going to have Venom with the Spider-Man thing, you got to have Eddie Brock with the other one. How do you insert Brock now that Parker doesn't work for the Bugle? Maybe, Mary Jane got a new editing job, or like the associate editor for the Bugle. Maybe she helps Pete get a job back there again because he doesn't have a job yet. Right. Okay, maybe he goes back to the Bugle to help out and get some money. Brock's there, so now you have these two kind of like side by side, and then they're both like, I got a better picture, and now MJ has to choose. It's like, oh, sorry, Pete, Brock's actually got a better angle on this, and Peter's like, MJ, boyfriend? I'm actually, he got a better picture of me as Spider-Man than what I got me of me as Spider-Man. Come on.
Right.
And she goes, sorry, Pete, he got a better shot. And then that rivalry starts, and then it overlaps, just like the Lee and Mr. Negative thing overlaps in the middle of the game. You can almost have the second game follow the same story patterns and beats and not have it be repetitive, where bum, 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 whoomp, and then of course you get so far, I hit my mic, but you get so far past that, and then it goes boom, and then like you have these storyline weavings of Peter and Spider-Man interweaving throughout each other, and then of course now you have the opportunity to showcase even like more villains or other villains. Of course we already saw Shocker, Vulture, Electro, Scorpion, Rhino, and we got a hint of Mysterio. We got a hint of the Lizard. Maybe we do a Mysterio thing, and maybe you can make it to where, like in this game, they were all involved in the main plot because they were, had that mass breakout. But there's a whole sea of villains that you can do, and you could even have Fisk kind of come back into it a little bit, and he kind of comes back in. But then of course you have since you did and you pulled the the trigger on Dr. Octopus, one of Spidey's main villains. Now you have to pull that trigger on the Green Goblin.
You have to.
So
at this point, the only thing better.
He's already resigned as mayor because of what happened.
Yeah.
His son, all this stuff, it's getting to him, and he's going to end up doing something to himself, just like he does, and messing himself up.
I think that he tries. I think what would be a really good way to do it is him using the super soldier serum,
right?
Because they kind of already hinted that he was working on that already.
It's like a sequel, or it's supposed to be a better version of the old super soldier serum from Captain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they've already hinted at that a little bit, but throw that in there where he's like, oh, maybe this will do it. And he does it to himself, and then make the twist. He does it to Harry. Obviously, the Venom suit or the symbiote has to get to Peter to become the Spider-Man Venom.
Right.
And then to Brock. I think that would be cool. But then in the end, make it to where Norman has changed into Green Goblin. Harry survives, but he has that same serum in him. The next person you kill off is Norman. You have Harry take over.
I also said to you, I liked the idea of Parker wearing the suit and its negativity getting to him.
Yes.
And him kind of going off the handle. And then
splitting with MJ.
Will splitting with MJ, the whole thing. It like that symbiote causes him personal and professional Spider-Man damage.
Yep.
And then at some point he's kind of going off the rails. And then instead of him ripping the suit off himself, you have another character you can play as to help him get rid of it.
Yep.
Miles, Kid Arachnid versus Peter Parker Spider-Man in the suit.
In the black suit, yeah.
In the black suit. And then he's like, I would love that. And then he ends up getting it off of him, and Pete's like, Miles, I'm so sorry. He's like, I know. It wasn't you.
Right.
You know, he instantly doesn't even he's not offended or hurt by it at all. At this point, Miles has already figured it out. You know,
right.
He's like, trust me, it's fine. And Pete's like, no, it's not fine. He goes, no, it's not fine. But you and me were fine. He goes,
right. You gotta fix everyone else.
Yeah, everything else. He goes,
fix all them.
He's like, think I'll be able to fix it with MJ? That might be a task a little too daunting for even Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because as much as the ending of this game brought them back together, I feel like with the symbiote, that has to pull them back apart.
Yes.
And then if you put Brock in there with it, and then when they get the suit off of him, it go, there's Brock with trying to frame the angle. Spider-Man's the bad guy. Here's this other Spider-Man, and he's trying to get shots or whatever, and it ends up on him, and he ends up becoming Venom. He now knows Parker Spider-Man. He now knows Miles is Kid Arachnid. He knows all this crap, and he's also pissed off at Parker, and now he's pissed off at Spider-Man. Now we want the same thing,
Yep.
Easy. It writes itself almost. I can't wait.
It does. It almost writes itself.
Either way, even if they don't do that story, I'm excited for what they bring. It's going to be quite a few years. Take your time. This game was worth the wait, and the next one will be too.
Definitely was worth the wait.
So with that being said, that's all the time we got for this week. Thank you, Mike, for joining me in this new kind of frame up. If you're listening on audio, you're just hearing him call in. But if you're watching the video on YouTube, which I didn't live stream this just because I was worried about my internet and being able to do the call and the stream at the same time. But we're going to try and do this somewhere if we ever need to. Whether at your house, I have no doubt that we could Skype somebody in or bring somebody in and do this and have no issues. My internet's a little bit slower than yours. So I was just worried, but on YouTube, guys, it's just me and him. We got our pictures up. We got I showed some Spider-Man stuff for me. I showed gameplay of just me running around and beating people up and getting beat up. And then we played that RE trailer. We're going to do more stuff like this. So please go check out twitch.tv/GameAddictsPlay, where we're going to stream live when I remember to bring the freaking Zoom. We're going to do it, I swear. And then, of course, the video goes up on YouTube the next day, and the audio goes up on podcast services around the globe. Almost every single one of them. You can find us, Game Addicts Podcast. Check it out. We do gameplay over on Twitch, or at least I do. And I haven't done that because life and work have been a little bit busy. I'm really looking forward to it cooling down. It's hotter than Hades back here right now, but I bet I'm suffering through it. But
in here, when the air is on, that's why I put the blanket on.
Did you get cold?
It's cold.
You son of a bitch!
Yeah,
I'm like, shake my hand at you. You son of. I wish I was cold. I would give anything to be cold right now. But no, guys, thank you guys so much for checking out this episode. If you made it this far, hope you guys finished Spider-Man. If you haven't, and you go pick it up. This game is freaking awesome. It's worth $60. Every bit of that. Every bit of that. Yes. If you love comics, you'll love this game. If you love action games, you'll love this game. If you love Spider-Man, what are you waiting for? go buy this game. This is my most recommended game of the year. This game is in the running for my personal game of the year. It's up there. I still got one that might, the Red Dead. I don't know. We'll see. I love that series, but right now, I think this game takes it because God of War was great. The storyline of that thing was great. The story beats. It was deep. Everything that God of War wasn't before, it is now. It was great. This game, in some ways, is better than that. Especially since I'm a Spider-Man fan. It kind of the stuff we said, the Aunt May stuff, the Miles stuff, the Norman stuff, the Otto stuff, everything in here, big ball of freaking awesomeness. So
I love the fact that Marvel told them, do it, everything your way. We don't care. Make your own story. Change stuff. Do what you want to do. Do it.
That was a great move from them.
It was a great call, and it just comes out fantastic. And I know that they're happy of how well it came out.
Spectacular. Amazing. And even is the most superior Spider-Man game that there ever has been. I got all of them in. So, guys, thank you guys so much for checking us out. We've been the Game Addicts Podcast. Check us out on all our social medias, the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Game Addicts Play on all those. Check us out on YouTube. Search Game Addicts Podcast. Subscribe. Please help us get to 100 subscribers. Check out the podcast, GameAddictsPodcast.com, and, of course, podcast services all around the globe. Check us out on Twitch. Already said that. I've been Brando.
I've been Mike.
We'll see you next week, guys. Game on. Have a good one. Be safe. Sling on. Later.